Okay, it looks like we are live. Just get a link and go from there, and then we'll start the show. Um, where's the share button? There we go. Copy link. Just go ahead and tweet this out real quick so people know we're live. Hey everybody, just give me one quick second and I'll be right with you. This is another Toys Talk, Breeze Toy Talk. And I got some good topics today and something with. There's an old 90s dollar store transformer knockoff that I've never been able to identify that I'll describe later in the episode and see if maybe someone's heard of it. But let's go ahead and get started. Not much has changed since Monday. Monday's episode was sort of it was actually last week's episode that I did on Monday because um, work and stuff got in the way. So, anyways, um, pretty much what I've been playing with recently is of the Zords from the Mighty Morphin, the main Zords from the Mighty Morphin line. I have the Megazord, the Thunder Megazord, and the Dragon Zord now, and the White Tiger Zord. So that gives me a lot of play options. What I'm looking for next, I'm actually still looking for weird and obscure sci-fi figures from the 70s and 80s. So I have been browsing eBay. I haven't had any money right now because my paycheck was short quite a bit. Um, there was an accounting error. My headphones are really screwing up. All right, so that should be fixed. This paycheck, that's what they told me. And I'm still on the lookout for unique fantasy and medieval figures. I want like knights and goblins and kobolds and skeleton warriors and stuff like that. But like generic fantasy like skeleton soldiers, with the little shield in the hand and the sword in the other hand and the horned helmet, the generic D&D skeleton. So I do have some toy news and rumors, and I really got to get new headphones. All right. So we'll go ahead and start with news and rumors. This first one comes from Toy News International. It just says McFarlane Toys expands their Movie Maniacs brand and digital presence with nostalgic characters from NBC Universal. And they're listing characters from the Blues Brothers, the 40-Year-Old Virgin, and the dude from the Big Lebowski. So none of those are your typical action figure sources. They're not horror movies. They're not sci-fi or comic book movies, but they are movies that resonate with nerd culture. So I understand their inclusion, especially the 40-year-old virgin, excuse me, blah, because he is absolutely a nerd. So it looks like these are coming later this year, perhaps. I'm trying to find a release in the article. And it says a digital collectible will also be released of each figure. I don't know what a digital collectible is. I don't see a timeline. Oh, it says this spring. Okay. Next up is from Toy Arc. And I think this one's kind of neat. It's a NECA horror figure. It's Frankenstein's monster plus chair set. Um, it is based on the Bride of Frankenstein. Pre-orders are up, and It's going to ship in June this year. Keep an eye out for. But it does say that he will probably be showing up at Target stores in the US at some point. So definitely keep an eye out if you have a Target nearby if you're in the US. I know my Canada friends don't have Targets anymore. But you guys still have Toys R Us. So suck it. Because we're stuck with Target, and I would rather a Toys R Us than a Target, to tell you the truth. I got an article from toyworldmag.co.uk, and this says Jazzwares launches lawsuit against Build-A-Bear. In it, the proceedings against Build-A-Bear claim the company's Skooshers brand copies the look, feel, and tactile design of Squishmallows. So this isn't really action figure toy news, but neither is my channel. I'm not familiar with Squishmallows, but just looking at this picture, they look cute. So maybe I'll look into it. Next up, also from the same website, Hasbro reports Q4 and full year 2023 results. And it says, despite a challenging year, the company says it is taking action to transform Hasbro and deliver profitable growth, blah, 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 corporate speak. Revenue declined 23% with growth in Wizards of the Coast and digital gaming, offset by declines in the consumer products segment, blah, blah, blah. The executive says our refreshed leadership team is more corporate speak. And yeah, whatever. Now, going into in depth, Cybertron.com has an article that says Hasbro is saying Transformers is one of the brightest spots for growth and sales in their entire toy portfolio. And it says, of all the brands and toys being sold by Hasbro, Transformers has the most coming out this year. And Transformers, despite the toys as a whole selling less, Transformers had 35% growth, and it shows that it's still a brand that sells toys, blah, blah, blah. More corporate speak. We're doing a lot of good stuff with Transformers this year because it is the 40th anniversary. As a huge Transformer fan, I'm excited for that. All right, the next article I have, well, it's not really an article, but we're at the point now where I pull up my Twitter list of toy people and just scroll through Twitter and see what's being talked about. And it looks like X-Men 97 cartoon. So you can watch that. I have mixed feelings about this cartoon. I'm not sure if I'm going to watch it because I don't watch cartoons, but also because, like, when I was 12, I liked the X-Men, the animated series, because that's the time I started to get into X-Men. But I didn't watch the whole series. I only watched like the first season or so, and then I lost interest. It's really hard for a cartoon to keep my interest. And let's see, there's some Darkwing Duck toys. Those look cool. I'm not seeing anything much in the way of news or rumors. Just a lot of that trailer. Excuse me. And then a lot of stuff we already know about. So I guess that wraps up the news and rumors segment of the show. So let's go ahead and get into our first topic. Make sure everything is going good. Let me fix my camera angle a little bit. There we go. Thank you. Hello, Cannibal Queen. Thanks for watching. So we're now at the part where we get into the topics. My first topic, first segment, is forgotten toy lines. I'm going to try to keep this going for a while. And today we're talking about the new adventures of He-Man. Now, when I was a kid, I had mixed feelings about Masters of the Universe, partially because I was female identifying and my parents were trying to force me to get into He-Man because they wanted me to be a boy. And so I wanted to play with my sister's toys and they didn't want me doing that. So I missed out on She-Ra toys and I missed, which I probably would have liked, and I missed out on the New Adventures of He-Man. So this is a toy line I didn't even know it until I saw the Toys That Made Us episode on Masters of the Universe. And then I've subsequently learned a little bit more about it. Looking at other toy collectors on YouTube show off their New Adventures He-Man figures, they look pretty cool. So I have added an assortment of them to my ever-growing list of toys to get. So if I ever do get any, I'll definitely show them off on the channel. If you want to know more about New Adventures, definitely check out Secret Galaxy. They've got a good video on it. And obviously, there's the Toys That Made Us, which has a really good video, segment on it. So let me know, did you have any New Adventures of He-Man toys? Did you like the cartoon? Let's confirm if there were comics or not. But I haven't done a lot of research into that because I'm not a big He-Man fan. And I don't really like toy tie-in comics that much. My next topic is toys based on video games. Now, back in the 80s, when video games were still fairly new and they were trying to, as an industry, figure out what worked, the toy companies pretty much ignored video game properties. They didn't see them the same as comics or cartoons or movies on the same level as a source for toy properties. So we really didn't get a lot of properties and things like that in the 80s. What we got was a lot of ancillary product like lunch boxes and magnets and rubber erasers and coloring books and shit like that. Stuff that kids absolutely would have bought because that's all there was. Now, that's not to say there weren't some, I will say, sophomore attempts at getting some toy lines based on video games, but they weren't very good. Not in the 80s. The 90s saw a few more attempts, namely with the Mega Man toys. Those were pretty good. And then we also had Mortal Kombat and Street Fighter from Hasbro, and those would later get, especially Mortal Kombat. I believe some of the collector lines have really done a good job with Mortal Kombat toys. There weren't, I tried to look. I have not been able to find a lot of video game properties that got toys in the 80s or 90s. Even now, like, we're starting to see more of it now, like the last 7 or 8 years, but it's still like only the like ultra mainstream stuff. You got Nintendo stuff, like mostly Mario Brothers, and then you got Sonic the Hedgehog, Fortnite, Minecraft, and then I've seen a lot of FNAF toys, but I haven't seen a lot of other like fully fleshed out toy lines with action figures, play sets, vehicles, etc. Mostly, if anything, you get some Funko Pops, you get some or you get some vinyl figurines. Sometimes you get some PVC figurines. and statues and stuff like that. But you still don't really see the toy industry taking video games seriously as source material. Now, I have seen a handful of Halo action figures, but I don't see a Call of Duty line. I haven't seen any. I'm not saying they aren't out there. I don't know. I just haven't been able to find them if they are. And I think there's a lot of video game properties that would lend themselves really well to toys that just get overlooked, especially like Castlevania. There's a whole world of Castlevania toys that could be explored. Now, we have been getting more Mega Man stuff in recent years, and with the popularity of Smash Brothers, you do occasionally get some retro characters in the Nintendo toy lines from third parties. Video game characters is video game tie-in to a property like Ninja Turtles or The Simpsons, etc. So you could theoretically count those toys as a video game tie-in. But I'm still disappointed that we're just not getting the video games aren't getting the proper respect they deserve, especially with the insane success of Minecraft and Fortnite toys. So the question I present to you is, are there any toys based on video games that I missed that you're aware of that you could tell me about? Or are there any that are worth exploring from the 80s and 90s that I missed or don't know about? Now, I do know there were some McDonald's Mario Brothers toys. They were okay-ish as far as McDonald's as far as McDonald's toys go. Overall, I just haven't been able to find anything on the same quality of the mainline toys. Next topic is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles knockoffs and copycats. Now, I know TMNT itself as a toy line, not as a property, but the toys are kind of Playmates' answer to Masters of the Universe. The toys have a lot of similarities in design and aesthetic, and they're very similar in scale and articulation. So you could argue that TMNT itself is a copycat, but that's getting into semantics. But there's a lot of really weird stuff in the 90s. You had Bucky O'Hare, you had Street Sharks, Skeleton Warriors, Battle Toads, and there's probably a dozen others I'm forgetting. I know there were Stone Protectors, which I had a couple as a kid. I don't remember which ones. I'm pretty sure I wouldn't recognize them if I saw their pictures because this is so long ago, and I didn't play with them. They just went to the bottom of my toy box and went into the closet, and I never touched them because I was not a fan of troll dolls. But I'm starting to find that there were a lot more TMNT inspired toys in the 90s than I was aware of. And I'm actually looking into a few of them. That Toxic Crusader one looks really fucking cool. Or it's based on the Toxic Avengers, I think, something like that. Anyways, that one looks pretty cool. And then just around the time TMNT came out, you had Mad Balls, allegedly photoshopped them and hoaxed us. I don't think they're real toys, but no one's ever going to convince me otherwise because I just didn't see them when I was a kid. So again, my question is, what is your favorite TMNT copycat or knockoff toy line? And which ones do you recommend to a collector who is getting burned out on TMNT? So where I really have to ask for your help. When I was a kid, my parents bought me a lot of dollar store toys because we were poor. And I had this plastic green and yellow transforming dollar store action figure that was a forklift that turned into a robot. Now, it is not the one you see all over eBay. It is not the GoBot. I have the GoBot. It is not the what is it? Convertible convertible. It is plastic. It is not die cast. It has those plastic tires, threads, kind of like tractor tires. And basically, it transforms. I'm gonna mime it, but you like fold the legs out, stand it up, flip the forklift back, and then fold the arms up, and that's it. It's a very simple transformation. I have been searching toy sites and archives and eBay for 20 years, and I've never been able to find even a picture of this toy. So I don't know what it's called. I know it was a dollar store toy. I know it was a cheap knockoff, but people remember the ones that I find pictures of. It's definitely not Tech Toy because I looked at their entire catalog. So if you had this toy and happen to know what it's called or have a picture of it, I would love for you to share that with the channel. Um, and maybe make a video response to this video and show me the toy. And if you have other toys from that toy line, that would be great too. Uh, it's not like a great toy by any stretch of imagination. It broke very easily. Its arms broke off like the first time I transformed it. So there's a high probability that these toys don't exist anymore because they probably all crumbled to dust by now. But still, I'd love to get my hands on one if I could. Now, I've talked about dollar store Transformers in the past. I love knockoff and um, just dollar store, I guess you would say not really counterfeit, but just knockoff Transformer toys. I think some put more effort into their toy designs than Hasbro does because Hasbro just recycles the same goddamn toys all the fucking time. How many fucking bumblebees do we need? Jesus Christ. They've already released the definitive Bumblebee toy at least 6 times. Do we really need another Bumblebee, for God's sake? I don't know. This is a little shorter live stream, but I don't put a time limit on these. They're just as long as they need to be. So that's all I have for today. For watching, subscribe.